I'm going to use another biblical story.
While you were biblicaling, the lights are flickering behind you, almost like God is interacting with us. There's spirits in the room, Jamie. Have you noticed the light flickering? If you haven't noticed it, keep an eye on it.
Hopefully they're the right spirits.
Well, I think they always are.
Yeah. Well, so in the story of Abraham is he's an old man when the story starts.
As soon as you start talking about Abraham, start flickering again. It's going out.
It's one of my tricks, man.
I'm telling you, dude, It's never happened before. This is wild.
Here's a terrifying thing. You tell me what you think about this.
Okay.
All right, so your thoughts are orienting phenomena. A thought enters the theater of your imagination in relationship to your goal. So you can formulate that in religious language. The spirit that answers your prayers, the nature of the spirit that answers your prayers will be dependent on the nature of your prayer. Yeah, that's for sure. Right. This is stunning. It's a stunning thing to understand. If you orient your aim upward in the highest manner, the spirit that informs your thought will be the spirit of the highest possible aim. And God, that's something to know, man. The mythology surrounding the crucifixion story insists that Christ harrowed hell after the crucifixion, which meant that he confronted not only death but malevolence itself, and in consequence transcended both. And so what's the underlying psychological message? It's something like the calling and the voice of conscience informing people that in order to thrive properly in life and to become who you could be, if you could be everything you could be, you have to voluntarily take on the weight of the worst life has to offer, including the depths of malevolence itself. The promise that God makes to Abraham, in part, is that if you fall into that pattern of maximal adventure and courageous movement forward, that your life is imbued with the meaning that transcends time, and that you embody something like an archetypal and eternal spirit. And that's the spirit of the Father. That's why Abraham understands that he's made contact with the God of his ancestors. And if you're a good father, you have that spirit dwelling within you. And the Christian insistence is that that spirit's identical to the Logos that bears the weight of the world on its shoulders voluntarily. And that's what brings everything into being. Stunning. It's a stunning conceptualization. And I think it's right. It looks right to me. And that's part of the reason why in the Christian canon, the word is the basis of reality, right? It's the force it's the process that generates the order that's good out of possibility and chaos, right? And so and Israel, the word Israel means we who wrestle with God.
It's interesting what you just said. One of Terence McKenna's lectures, he talked about a very profound psychedelic experience that he had where he was given this revelation that the world is made out of words. That everything is made out of words. Like he had just some sort of a profound understanding of what words really mean.
Well, how much of the reality that surrounds you has been, what would you say, has emerged out of the realm of possibility because of what you've said? There's an insistence in the Judeo-Christian canon that that the capacity that words have to shape possibility is akin or identical to the process that generates reality itself. And I think that's true. That's why in the opening chapters of Genesis we're described as formulated in the image of God. We're like a microcosm of the process that gives rise to order itself. So in the Sermon on the Mount, for example, which is an instruction manual, Christ tells his listeners how to orient themselves in the world properly. So he says, first, aim with all your heart at the highest good you can imagine. The last time we talked, I suggested to you that we see the world through a biblical lens. Literally see it. I mean literally. It structures our perceptions. And I've investigated that far more deeply. And what seems to be the case with a corpus of stories like the biblical library is that if you know the stories, It structures your psyche so that you have a place to put information. And so that enables you to understand the current world and everything that's happening, but to place everything in the right context. And so the transmission of an unbroken cultural edifice, story-based edifice, is the manner in which you solve the alignment problem, unite your society, integrate your psyche, pursue what's meaningful, and protect yourself from chaos and anxiety. Pray for the salvation of your soul, that you're aiming right, because your aim is going to determine the content of your thoughts. And that is how it works technically. That's how it works neuropsychologically. Your thoughts are the handmaiden of your aim.